Zelda and Nintendo, some things never change, but the timeline sure does a lot. How did it change this time? Well, they are just straight up doing a reboot. That is an alternate parallel timeline. I call it the Dragon Break timeline, thanks to Zelda Lore in his video that came out January 5th in 2021. And I have evidence to support this crazy idea. One thing, Nintendo reuses ideas and assets to make new games, and the whole thing in the games industry is remake and remasters, right? So, a remake of Wind Waker in some sort of way. Plus it's Nintendo, they love money. Jokes aside, there's actual evidence from the games, including the video I made about Colin from Twilight Princess. Short of it, Colin is an alternate reality version of Wind Waker Link in an alternate timeline. Think TotK and Koome and Majora's Mask being the Potion Witches. Not to mention all that game takes place in some alternate parallel world too. Highly recommend you check out that video. Second example, the Hyrule Historia and Encyclopedia. Mainly this sentence in the blue book. Attentive readers may note that the timeline shown here differs from the one shown in Hyrule Historia. The timeline can be interpreted in a number of ways and may change depending on new discoveries that have come to light and on the player's imaginations. So it can change? Well, it has already, as we can see there's a history to the changes in the timeline, and even multiple different official timelines existed at one point. Could you imagine if they're all still canon? The current timeline has a three-way split that occurs at Ocarina of Time: Child, Adult, and Downfall timelines, and we are all familiar with this one by now. Tears of the Kingdom, however, shows many events in Ocarina of Time that occur differently or don't occur at all to events in the N64 game. Like instead of Hero of Time Link, it's the Sage of Time Zelda, and in both, Zelda didn't just sit on the sidelines. Ocarina of N64, Zelda is Sheik after all. And what did Zelda do to help in Tears of the Kingdom? But I'll be going to spoiler territory now. She became a dragon to heal the Master Sword. She helped Link by traveling through time. Tears' events also seem to be the events that lead to the Downfall timeline in the original timeline. However, Rauru is a Zonai in the Founder King, while in Ocarina of Time he's an old man in the Sacred Realm. Both helped the hero in that era in one way or another. How and where did this new timeline split happen? Honestly, I have no idea, but many people in forums, and this also includes Zelda Lore in his video I mentioned earlier, think it's in Skyward Sword somewhere. Links and sources in the description. Highly recommend you watch that. People also say, no, that ain't possible, it's a closed loop. In Zelda Lore's video, he finds out the Elder Scrolls series has a weird timeline reconvergence converging timeline event thing called a Dragon Break. No, this isn't a converging timeline theory, stop. And what is a Dragon Break? It is a temporal phenomenon that involves the splitting of a natural timeline which results in the branching of parallel realities where the same events occur differently or not at all and reconnect at the end. The Dragon Break event takes place in the era of myth we see in the Breath of the Wild's timeline history, which possibly split off in Skyward Sword. Meaning, the OG timeline with the three-way split is still canon, the one shown in Hyrule Historia and the Encyclopedia, but so is this new timeline. A good example? Link between Worlds Lorule and Majora's Mask Termina being a parallel world of Hyrule. The Dragon Break timeline isn't just a parallel world, it's a whole parallel timeline. Parallel realities where the same events occur differently or not at all. And that's my entire point of this video. And to prove it with evidence, and there's still plenty to go. So where does it reconnect? Tears of the Kingdom, actually. Or, this is what I honestly think, it hasn't yet. Nintendo has more open world 3D Zelda games to make, and what better way than to make a new timeline with new events that take events in the old timeline, you know, reuse ideas from the old games and have same things occur differently or not at all. In fact, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom still look separated from the original timeline on the main Zelda Nintendo website. Aonuma also won't mention which timeline Breath of the Wild or Tears fall under, except for they are after Ocarina of Time. Yeah, because they're completely retelling the events of Ocarina of Time in a new parallel timeline. It's because they're rebooting the franchise. The director of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Hidemaro Fujibayashi, originally worked with Capcom and helped develop Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons for the Game Boy Color. It was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but never came to be. It only came out with 2. But eventually he was hired at Nintendo and directed and wrote Skyward Sword and only directed Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There are interviews with Aonuma and Fujibayashi saying they wanted the Sky Islands to be bigger than what they were on the Wii, but the hardware wasn't powerful enough, so Tears on the Switch has that chance to do it. In fact, it even reuses ideas from Wind Waker, like the old maps, pirates, among many other things. I think that is probably what they're going to do next, make an open sea Zelda with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom maps reused again in some way. Basically a new Wind Waker-like game. Not exactly a Wind Waker remake, but something similar, in the same vein. And again, Aonuma said in an interview this was going to be the direction the series is going to go. We're going to get more open world Zelda games. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Alright, now to quickfire some evidence since you're all still probably skeptical, so here we go. Rock Salt item description in Breath of the Wild. Wind Waker or Skyward Sword? It don't matter. Moragia. Being similar to Volvagia. Zelda mentions the burning embers of twilight. Secret stones exist instead of spiritual stones in the medallions. Ganondorf wanted the secret stones, spiritual stones, and Triforce. Ganondorf's wounds from Twilight Princess, Ocarina, and Wind Waker are absent in Tears of the Kingdom. Hylia exists in Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, and Tears, but it's never mentioned in any of the other games. I'll get to that in a minute. And also Link is left-handed in most games, but right-handed in Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. Twilight Princess landscape has chasms all over the place, similar to how Hyrule is in Tears, minus the gloom. The Rito and Zora exist at the same time, while the Rito are evolved from the Zora in the OG timeline. Deku Tree gets poisoned from the inside in both Tears of the Kingdom and Ocarina of Time. And both timelines, the OG timeline and Dragon Break, have 7 sages. Almost all games in the series show malice and gloom in one way or another, regardless of the timeline. When traveling from Hyrule to Lorule, it's reminiscent to traveling to Termina, another parallel world. There is a game that takes place in a dreamscape, Link's Awakening, and many games have multiple realms and realities, the Sacred Realm, Silent Realm, Dark World, etc. This series has it all. The ancient hero aspect exists in the 10,000 years during the events in the Dragon Break timeline, but in the N64 Ocarina of Time game, there is no Zonai at all. Okay, so Hylia is in the OG timeline, but it's Lake Hylia, and it's never mentioned anywhere that the lake is named after a goddess until way later when she's introduced in Skyward Sword. Ganondorf's surrogate mothers are also shown in Tears of the Kingdom, and they do not look like they are 400 years old like in the N64 game Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom resembles Demise more so than any incarnation compared to that of his earliest forms in the franchise. Same with the breach of Demise's location on the overworld map. Demise was also never mentioned in any of the older games before being introduced in Skyward Sword, just like Hylia. In Wind Waker, you have to place 3 orbs on 3 separate islands to make a triangle shape, and the Tower of Gods appears. In Tears, it's in the desert, same shape, and it rises out of the desert. So how would Ganondorf terrorize Hyrule during the era of myth in the Dragon Break timeline? We already seen it. His malice gloom can manifest into things, from the Calamity Ganon boss boys, Calamity Ganon, even the fake Zelda that turned out to be a phantom. And if we recall, he could make Phantom Ganon in the OG timeline as well. We even seen him make a giant glowy form in Twilight Princess of just his head. Keep in mind, Ganondorf always comes back, and what was found in the depths, there's statues that state that there's an afterlife. Be it good or evil, and what do we see? Ganondorf gets destroyed. There's Pose. What happens when one dies? They go to the afterlife. Who doesn't stay dead? Ganondorf. We're going to see Ganondorf return in a future Zelda game. Why? Because Nintendo loves money. Satoshi Takizawa, the character designer on the N64 version of Ocarina of Time, stated in an interview that the story this time is not a true original, but rather a background perception that it deals with the 7 Sages Sealed War that appeared in the previous Super Famicom version, A Link to the Past. Yet in the Hyrule Historian Encyclopedia, it shows the imprisoning war is after Ocarina, not during it. And Tears shows it's occurring during what would be the events of both Ocarina and A Link to the Past. This proves that the timeline is ever changing. Yuga, Hilda, and Ravio all are parallel versions of Ganon, Zelda, and Link respectively, and Lorule looks to have its own history and timeline with its own Triforce. So, is 2 parallel timelines so far-fetched? Does every game in the OG timeline happen during the era of myth? Maybe they do, or maybe it's more along the lines of where the same events occur differently, or maybe they don't occur at all. Maybe even the older timelines are all canon still and still exist too? Regardless, we won't know until either Nintendo tells us in an interview, Tears DLC gets announced, or the next Zelda game comes out. But hey, that's what theory crafting is all about, trying to guess what it is and have fun while doing it. I mean, it was fun trying to guess if alchemy is a thing in the series, and since Tears came out, I'm even more convinced, so if that sounds like something you'd like to check out, like and sub. I'm BioAlpha, and I'm signing off.